Today we're going to be talking about Venus and Aries and what this placement means for you if you have it in your chart. So with that being said, what does Venus represent? Venus represents value and love and attraction. So in one's chart, it shows what makes the person attractive. When Venus is in Aries, this is a sign that is ruled by Mars, and it represents physical activity. It represents the physique, the body, and Mars is also the planet of war and conflict. So oh shoot. When Venus is in Aries, it shows people that have a love of physical exertion. They like competition, they like games, and even the women will have a masculinity about themselves or a love of masculine activities. Aries is the sign that is about the self. So when Venus is in Aries, it is in fall because it rules the opposing sign, which is Libra, and Libra is all about relationships and others. And those that have Venus in Aries can sometimes have a difficulty with relating or compromising because they can be more selfish. In love, it is mostly about physical or sexual chemistry for these people, as they have Venus in the sign that is ruled by Mars, and Mars is about physical attraction. So also in love and relationships, they can be selfish and want things to revolve mostly around what they want. Overall, they have a love for masculine activities and just being physical in general. They are competitive, and the women can have a fiery personality to themselves because Venus rules women. Venus in Aries will bestow one with a vivid and artistic imagination, and it will make one impulsive and somewhat disorganized with their finances because Venus does represent money as well, and Aries can be impulsive, and they can be impulsive in love as well. So here are a few people with this placement before we go ahead and talk about what it means to each of the houses. Marilyn Monroe, Rihanna, Lady Gaga, Albert Einstein, George Clooney, Jennifer Aniston, Shakira, Cristiano Ronaldo, Mariah Carey, Robert Downey Jr., Audrey Hepburn, Elizabeth Taylor, Gigi Hadid, Sigmund Freud, Bob Marley, Renee Zellweger, Jack Nicholson, Abraham Lincoln, Tyler the Creator, Chris Martin, Janet Jackson, Johnny Cash, and a lot more that I have not listed here. However, the thing that I noticed is a lot of sex symbols have this placement, and a lot of universally attractive people have this. And that's because Venus is in the sign of the physique and also the face. Aries rules the face, and Venus placement shows what makes somebody attractive. So it gives them an attractive physique for a lot of those that have this placement. And it could show that people just find your physique or your appearance attractive, even if you don't see that in yourself. So now let's talk about what it means to each of the houses. Venus in Aries in the first house. This is a placement that shows physical attractiveness because the first house is about our appearance, and it's the house that's also ruled by Aries. So on the negative side, this placement can show conceit and selfishness because it's like double Aries energy, although they are highly attractive people. So now let's talk about the second house placement of Venus and Aries. This placement makes one artistic and want to create physical beauty in the world and in their environment. Also, the second house is about finances and income. So it shows somebody that can make money from their own beauty or from Venusian topics such as fashion, art, and modeling or cosmetics, anything that's feminine related, products, anything material. So next, this leads us to the third house placement of Venus in Aries. This placement can show the Venus that doesn't know what she wants when it comes to love, because the third house is very scattered and it's all about circumstance and it's about variety, and Venus represents love. So they have difficulty in making choices, and they just have a love of variety, and they can really be chasing a lot of different things. So I feel as though Venus and Aries in the third house can be chasing a lot of different objectives or different love interests. Furthermore, displacement can make one flirtatious or have a love of flirting because the third house is about communication. Venus is very fiery when it's in Aries, and when it's in the third house, it will show this is a part of the communication. Now, in terms of what they're attracted to wit and cleverness and humor. And overall, they're attractive to people that have original opinions and that are like unapologetic in their communication. And they themselves are unapologetically themselves, and this makes them charming communicators. That's what Venus shows, because Venus is in their third house. So this is the person that just is themselves, and people like them because of that, or they find them charming because of their confidence. So next, this leads us to the fourth house placement of Venus in Aries. This placement will make you prioritize home life and security and family, because the fourth house represents our priorities, and Venus is, what we invest into or what we love. And so as well, this placement makes somebody quite self-reliant, and they have this need to have things go their own way in their home life, because the fourth house placement in this case is in Aries. Aries is about the self. And furthermore, when it comes to love, they have a nurturing love style, and they are providers, and especially they like to provide a sense of security and protection, because Aries is about conflict, and Aries is about strength. So that's how they nurture others, is by providing for them and also providing protection and like a feeling of safety. Next, this leads us to Venus in the fifth house. The fifth house is about validation and attention and being seen. So this is another one of those placements that can emphasize physical attraction, because it will show that your physique attracts attention, or your appearance attracts attention. And also, what makes you attractive, relatable, or popular is you being unapologetically yourself. So this attracts attention or validation. So that is Venus in Aries in the fifth house. Next, this takes us to Venus in Aries in the sixth house. The sixth house is all about lifestyle, routines, habits, and work. So this placement gives those that have it a love of productivity and organization, and they just love activity or being busy. Even sometimes they can mindlessly occupy themselves with activities. Venus, when it's in the sixth house, can be considered debilitated, because it makes one self-critical or perfectionistic about their beauty, their appearance, or their self-worth. And when Venus is in Aries, it can show they can be perfectionistic about their physique, especially with those that go to the gym or like do some sort of physical activity. This placement will show that doing physical activity makes the body very, very attractive for them, because the sixth house is about health habits, and Venus is pointing towards physical health habits, because it's in Aries. So whenever these people have a physical exercise routine, it actually the results tend to show on their physique. And so and Venus represents beauty, so this is where a lot of attraction and beauty comes from in their chart. It's just their physique and their health and their self-care. So next, this leads us to Venus in Aries in the seventh house. This placement makes one get into relationships for selfish reason, but the unapologetic nature of Venus in Aries and of this quality makes you attractive. And nonetheless, Venus is desirable, friendly, and sociable when it's in the seventh house. So overall, how I could summarize this placement is it shows being selfish in a relatable manner. But I wouldn't just summarize it as just being selfish. Like, there's a lot more to these people and to this placement than just that. But that is a key part of Venus being in Aries. Anyways, next, this leads us to Venus in Aries in the eighth house. And those that have Venus in Aries in the eighth house have intense sex appeal, because the eighth house is ruled by Mars and Aries is ruled by Mars. So this is double Mars energy. Mars is about physical attraction. So Venus is confirming that this is what makes you attractive. And also, those that have this placement like to make themselves desirable to others, because the eighth house is about the values of others and the psychology of other people. Aries is very bold and upfront, so you can have a bold way of presenting yourself, or like of being feminine. Furthermore, Aries is straight to the point. So when you have Venus in the eighth house in Aries, it shows that you have an innate and unapologetic understanding of psychology. So this is also what makes you relatable or like sexy or attractive. So next, this leads us to Venus in Aries in the ninth house. This placement shows a love of travel, experiences, risk, and adventure. Those that have this placement are carefree and reckless. You are also quite revealing of your physique, because Venus in Aries is about the physique, and Sagittarius, or the ninth house, is about being abundant or revealing. It's all about information as well, and it's just like it is very open energy. So anyway, the other trait about those that have Venus and Aries in the ninth house is that they want to learn or know things firsthand, and that's why they love, experiencing things for themselves, and they love adventure and they love travel, and they just don't like being bossed around. So this can be another trait of them, especially the woman, that makes them sexy or attractive to others, because Venus is showing that ninth house and Aries energy is making the person attractive. So now let's talk about Venus and Aries in the 10th house. Venus and Aries can be considered selfish type energy. Of course, you can't reduce a person to just one placement, so it's not saying that the person is all selfish. But in the 10th house, it will show being selfish about your priorities and what's best for your image or your success. This is also what makes you attractive. And there's this need to have things your own way professionally. Now, when Venus is in Aries and in the 10th house, it creates underdog energy, or somebody that wins at their career, at their success, by using feminine tactics. So like, this is why they have this energy of being an underdog, because something about the way that you succeed or achieve in life is feminine, or it's like you had to earn your respect in some way, and you had to be selfish about your own priorities where other people wanted you to compromise. So you've always had this energy of being an underdog, which just means somebody that's less rooted for, or less that has been seen as less likely to succeed, or like less likely to command respect. But in the end, you end up doing so. So anyway, next this leads us to Venus in Aries in the 11th house. These people love freedom, because the 11th house is ruled by Uranus, and this is about freedom and reliance and autonomy. So they don't like to be controlled. They like to make their own decisions, and they like to go against the crowd. Also, in terms of traits that they are attracted to in others, they like people that are unapologetically themselves and people that are unique, because the 11th house is about individuality and uniqueness. Also, the 11th house represents the internet, represents technology and streams of income. So those that have Venus in this house will make an additional stream of income from the internet or some sort of entrepreneurial activity. And it could be related to the physique or the physical body, like it could be exercise related, or it could be related to the themes of Venus, which are about cosmetic, it's about fashion, it's about beauty, art, or material things. So it could be about selling objects or merchandise. But ultimately, Venus is showing that some sort of money or stream of income is created from either Aries topics, which is about physical body or exercise or attraction, or it could be about Venus, which is about feminine topics. So last but not least, this leads us to Venus and Aries in the 12th house. This is the placement of Venus and Aries that makes one artistic, imaginative, and creative. Also, they are quite romantically open, because when Venus is in the 12th house, it's exalted, meaning it's at its highest state. And these people are vulnerable, self-sacrificing, and compassionate. So sometimes they just have a difficulty saying no. Although that may not be the case when Venus is in Aries, because Aries has strength to it. But in terms of romance, which is what Venus represents, those that have Venus and Aries in the 12th house, they have a tendency to fantasize. When they are romantically or physically attracted to somebody, they will imagine all of these additional positive qualities of the person that may not actually be there, or that they may not actually have, encountered. But basically, essentially, they'll fantasize and add on to, the people that they're attracted to. So like, these people fall deeply in love, or like they can have love at first sight moments. And that's because Venus is exalted and it's in the sign of physical attractiveness. So they could be some of the most attractive people to physiques or appearance. So that is Venus and Aries through each of the houses. Thanks for watching. Peace.